Hi, this is my review of Great Power. Great Power expands, adds depth and detail to the power system presented in Icon's superpowered role-playing The Assembled Edition. If you haven't seen my review for that book, click on the link in the description below. Now let's talk about the quality of Great Power. When you purchase Great Power, you get 3 files. One is an index of the entire content of Great Power, and then you have an Icon's conversion guide. This guide is used to convert powers and characters from the older edition of Icons, and then you have the file itself. Now, the PDF is fully bookmarked, and you have some hyperlinks, so it's really easy to navigate the entire document. And you have these cool illustrations in the same comic book style that you have seen in the Icon Superpower Role-Playing The Assembled Edition book. Some of the illustrations, not many, but a few of them looked a bit blurry as you zoomed into them, so they were probably low resolution. And the graphic design is very good, the layout overall is great, it feels like a comic book, and it's very colorful as well. Another thing that I really liked about this document is that at the end you have an appendix that tells you how to use Great Power with Fate Core based RPGs. So for example, if you want to add superpowers to your Fate game, you can use Great Power with this handy conversion guide or tips on how to use the material here. Now let's talk about the contents. First, you have a nice introduction of what Great Power is all about. And you have information of the power types and the different power groups and sources. When the power is maybe from a biological power source, or maybe it's artificial, or mental, or maybe it's skill based. So you have all the basics on powers and their use, as well as their application concerning preparation, concentration, range, duration, etc. All the details that you need to use powers and how to create and tweak them. And then you have information on using extras and substituting extras. You also have information on different limits and stunts. And you get a lot of advice on how to use the different, for example, attribute stunts and maneuvering for stunts. And how to make limits to serve as sort of like a hindrance or something that actually limits what a character can do with that power. So to better focus that power, maybe you have more freedom during certain conditions or situations, but in some other ways it's impossible to use that power, or the power behaves somewhat erratically. And you have information on how to modify powers as well, and adding and modifying powers in general. Now, when it comes to the powers, the power list itself, you have some random tables, but each power feels a lot more like it unfolds as compared to the power system found in the core rulebook. You even have some tips on how to create your own power tables. Just to give you some details on how the powers are presented here, let's go to the Alteration Ray. In the Assembled Edition rulebook, you have a small paragraph detailing Alteration Ray, just like 6 lines if I remember correctly. But here you have 6 different types of rays and information on extras and limits. So if you want to use a Density Ray or Transforming Ray and Phasing Ray, you have all the effects and the rules to do that. So that's quite handy, and the same goes for all the other powers, be it Alter Ego or Animal Companion, Astral Projection, Claws, Key Power, Corrosion, Cosmic Power, Cyberkinesis, Force Control. And I noticed there are new powers here as well. There's additional material. This is not just something that adds a bit more depth and detail to the core system. This actually contains more powers and a lot of reskinnings. So even though the information in the core rulebook is quite complete, this is a very interesting source of inspiration to modify the powers in several ways. as well as presenting additional material to build upon. And near the end of the book, you have information on how to use devices and create devices and alter devices. So you have information on control devices, defensive devices, and you even have a list of sample vehicles. And I noticed that the stats for these vehicles are somewhat different from the stats in the core rulebook. And the Great Power, this supplement is supposed to be like the revised version of those. So I think it's better to use the stats in this list, although the others are quite handy to use. There aren't any like problems that it feels like there's major imbalancing issues concerning the stats. Well, let me tell you what I think of Great Power. I think that if you are a very casual icons player, that is, maybe you rarely play icons, I don't think this book is necessary because there's enough material in the core rulebook. However, if you play on a weekly or even monthly basis, this is a must-have because Great Power provides really a ton of options, a lot of rules and thematic elements. I would even say that if you have another superhero role-playing game, and specifically if you have a Fate Core based game, this supplement is also quite handy. That is, all the powers here are pretty cool and over the top, and they have that comic book flavor. So it's definitely a must-have if you play superhero games on a frequent basis. You need to get this one because one of the coolest things about the icons system is that you get to randomly create your superheroes, and there will come a time that you have just played too many combinations of powers and traits, etc. And maybe you want to find new ways in which to modify the powers and create new themes for your superhero, and all of that comes right here. Great Power provides a lot of work done for you, and it does it in a very cool and original way. Well, thanks for watching my review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. See you later.